My name is Autumn Jonas, and I'm going to be giving a speech on the negative effects of the overconsumption of fast fashion. Every single year, the fast fashion industry produces about 80 billion pieces of clothing. With a constant cycle of buying new things and then tossing the old out, we generate about 92 million pounds of waste every single year. These are not just statistics, these are warnings. I'm going to be giving you some more information on the negative effects of the overconsumption of fast fashion. For those who know a lot, you'll understand the environmental impact that the clothing industry has. For those who only know a little, I'm going to be talking more about the working conditions and the solutions that we can take to avoid this issue in the future. This affects all of us. This issue does not stop at the borders. This is a global issue. I'm going to be giving you some more information with credible sources, environmental data, and global textile production. I have 3 points: the environmental impact, the working conditions of the factories, and the solutions that we can take. For my first point, I'm going to be talking about environmental impact. Like I said, there's about 92 million pounds of waste every single year. I believe a good point is the materials that they are using. They like to cut costs in any way they can, so they use cheap materials like cotton. So cotton, you would think, is a good material, but actually it uses an excessive amount of water just to be able to clean all the toxic chemicals in the material. They also use things like synthetic fibers like polyester. Polyester can actually create microfiber plastics that seep into our ocean. According to the article in Princeton.edu, synthetic materials primary culprits that cause plastic microfibers to enter our oceans. To be exact, approximately 35% of all microplastics are from these synthetic materials. To further lower the price, producers turn to materials that may be of low quality. Another point is that we use an excessive amount of water. When we use bad materials, we just have to clean them a lot more due to the bad chemicals that are inside of them. So we want to make sure that we clean them, but it uses a ton of water. The fast fashion industry actually makes up of 20% of wastewater worldwide. Another point is that we use excessive waste. When we do get rid of these clothes, where do they go? They usually end up in landfills, which takes about decades or even centuries just to break down. And then whatever is not buried, we end up incinerating. When you incinerate bad clothing, you actually are releasing very bad chemicals into our air. Moving from environmental impact to the working conditions, I want to talk about how the fast fashion industry wants to save money in any way, like I said. So they move their factories over to countries that have lower wages than they normally would in the United States, where they allow child labor, where they don't have a lot of safety regulation. So they are just being underpaid, they move to places where they don't make enough money. They can use child labor to cut costs even more. The next point is that there is unsafe working conditions. They are in very cramped, tight spaces like this, and they're also just putting their children in unsafe situations because there are not a lot of safety regulation laws there. Another point is the quality of the materials they are using. Even polyester for a normal consumer to wear, it can really cause irritation to your skin. It can cause health problems, and these people are constantly all around it, even children with child labor. And when they are constantly putting out new clothes for the trends, your clothes are just going to wear out easier. For the consumer, we want to make sure that we're finding good quality items so we don't keep throwing them out and continuing the cycle. In the article, Women's Wear Daily, Rhonda Richford writes about a film that shows the working conditions and what the workers are subjected to in the fast fashion industry. She states, "This film also touches on the health implications for workers in and around the chemicals of the tanneries, particularly focusing on India and Italy, as well as the treatment of migrant workers who largely staff the facilities in Italy." Moving from working conditions to the solutions that we can take, there are a lot of things that we can do to help avoid this issue in the future. I would say the first one would be making sure that you are choosing a higher quality of clothes. Instead of just tossing things out that are cheap, you're getting good quality material so they last longer. There's organic cotton that is actually a lot better than just regular cotton. It does not have as much chemicals and it takes less water to clean. You can also buy things like silk. Silk is more expensive, but in the long run, you are saving money because you're not constantly having to buy new things that are worn out. The second point is that companies need to educate themselves. They need to understand the greenhouse gas emissions that they are releasing, but also their water and energy footprint. My third point is that we need to educate ourselves, the consumer, buying higher quality items, even shopping at thrift stores, secondhand stores, and just not constantly buying that new fast fashion. But also stop buying from the companies that do partake in unsafe work environments, who pay low wages, who have child labor, just using good materials, just making sure you're educated before you go and buy clothes. According to Kristen Lawson, the author of What Clothing Companies and Consumers Can Do to Reduce Fashion's Environmental Impact, Larson emphasizes the 2.4 trillion apparel industry accounts for 8 to 10% of the world's greenhouse gas emissions, more than all of the international flights and maritime shipping combined, and 20% of the world's industrial wastewater drains out of this industry, according to the United Nations Alliance for Sustainable Fashion. In my speech, we talked about the environmental impact, the working conditions of the factories, and the solutions that we can take to further avoid this issue in the future. Every single year, waste is piling up. The working conditions are terrible for the workers in different countries. There's child labor. The environment is being impacted. But with action and awareness, we can do something about it. We can make change. There are endless choices of fashion, but at what costs do you want this fashion? We gain clothes, but in the end, we are really losing our environment. Thank you.